Greetings. Welcome back to Beaver Branch Disc Golf Adventures. My name is Brian Morris, PDGA 16791. Today we have a disc comparison / review on a whole mess of stable Upshot discs. I have the Clemons, the Clemons Culprit in the hybrid plastic, which is in the premium plastic. It's not the kind of the baseline hybrid. It's like the mixed, like lucid and fusion mix. The Culprit comes in at a speed 4, glide 2, turn of 0, and a fade of a 3.5. We'll be comparing them to the Westside Discs Anvil, and I went with the VIP plastic. The Anvil comes in at a speed 4, glide 2, turn of 0, and a fade of 4. So it's got a little bit, it should have a little bit more fade than the Culprit. And I'm also going to toss in the Wysocki Moonshine Harp. It is in the lucid plastic. The Harp is a speed 4, glide 3, turn 0, and a fade of 3. So let's check it out. Let's see how these Upshot discs all compare. Here we have a profile shot of the Harp and the Culprit. And then we have the Anvil and the Culprit. So you can see that the profile of the Culprit is slimmer than the Harp, but a little bit deeper than the Anvil. Special shout out to Trilogy Talk team. Thank you, Trilogy Talk, for letting me get these discs so I can review them. The Anvil was a 173, and both the Culprit and the Harps were 176s, and you can take a look at them there in that clip. All right, so we're going to go from the predicted least stable Harp to the most stable, which would be the Anvil. So here you see the Harp. This is the warm-up lob hyzer shot. And the beauty of the Harp, I think, is it doesn't skip away quite as much. Culprit has a slimmer profile, and you see it has more fade than the Harp. Definitely better if you don't like the depth of the Harp. I would be interested in the Culprit in some other plastics. And then third, we're always going to go with the Anvil. Anvil being the, according to flight numbers, the most stable out of the bunch. And I'll go ahead and confirm that right now, that the Anvil was the most stable. I did feel like the Culprit did fit right between the Harp and the Anvil, but I wouldn't necessarily bag all three of them. I don't typically throw the Moonshine Lucid Ricky Saki Bomb Harp. I do like to throw it backhand. I'm not too into forehanding the more premium plastics, lucid plastics and VIP plastics. I prefer the retros and the origios and the primes, as well as the softer plastics. Here we're releasing it on an Anheuser release, and you can see it fighting back. It's the same order here. We went Harp, then Culprit, and then Anvil here. And trying to really get an Anheuser angle on the release so that we can watch them fight back, which they all did. The Harp fought back a little bit less. But they all landed in pretty much a similar area here. You can see, I think the flight numbers are on here for this. I know it's probably hard to put a 3.5 on that Culprit, but the Anvil at a 4 definitely had slightly more fade. Okay, I'm not the forehander, but I'm going to throw some forehand shots here. About 180 feet to that basket, forehanding the harp first. Now, the harp being a deeper dish has a different feel than the culprit. The culprit has a slimmer profile and a little bit more fade. All of these discs have glides that are low. The harp has a glide of 3. The Anvil and the culprit both have glides of 2. And that means that they don't want to fly very long. They want to get to the ground, if you will, which is really good for stable upshot approaches. Here you see the spread on that. The culprit's off to the right off that forehand shot, and the harps are a little bit shorter. One of my favorite shots to throw with an overstable upshot disc is the Anheuser turnover shot, the force over. And the harp is one of my favorites, using this shot in the woods a lot, or to get around a corner and extend it out. Now here's the culprit. This one I get over a little bit too much. It still does flatten and slide. And then this one I kind of make a little bit of an adjustment, but I really want to try to throw these all on the same angle to show you the difference. And you'll see the difference here on this shot with the stability of that Anvil as it fades all the way back and even skips into that opening that I'm aiming for. That one a little bit released over to the left a little bit, but you can still see that fade back. Here you can take a look at that spread. It's a really useful shot, just getting it over and letting it turn. Here's my attempt at throwing a straight shot here at about maybe 220 feet. And I don't know that I necessarily release all of these on the same release. I think here I'm just making an adjustment and trying to get each of these discs up to this pin. So you see all of them. That was a culprit fading off to the right. Make an adjustment here and hit the log. Here's the Anvil. Anvil showing its fade, its stability, its overstability. And again, making an adjustment off of that throw to try to get it to the log. Here's a look at that spread. And I have one last little comparison to do here. And that is going to be the skip effect. So I'm going to throw a backhand shot into a skippy area and just kind of demonstrate how each of these discs skip as they're coming in. The harp, known as a disc that doesn't skip and does get to the ground, really just trying to put it on the angle where it would skip, and it doesn't get very much skip, maybe 10 or 12 feet and a little slide. Here comes the culprit. One of the first things my brother mentioned when he threw it was it seems to skip a lot. And that's where I kind of placed it with the Anvil. I typically throw the BT Hybrid Anvils for both backhand and forehands, and they are a lot skippier than the harps I throw. And this is just a demonstration of that. Sometimes you need a skip to continue the flight towards the basket. Sometimes you want it to get down. That's what the harp does. And there's a spread of it. The Anvil definitely getting deep and most stable, with the culprit in between and the harp. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you can make an informed decision, and I'll see you on the next one.